So when we try to solve the question using the method for displacement being a vector quantity, the whole approach should be vector based. Now, when it is vector based, we know that the first thing to set up would be the suitable coordinates. So I have a set of coordinates here, which is varying in x and y starting from the origin. So the first step is to fix the coordinates. And then the second step is to find the position required, which is from A moving till B. Now, of course, this path can also go from B to A, then again from A to B, but we are not concerned about those paths. Why? Because we need only the initial position and the corresponding final position, right? So this is what we have when we consider the positions of A and B. So position of A is along the negative y-axis, which means the coordinate of A is minus r1 comma 0. It's safe to assume r comma 0, right? Because the radius is constant. And position of A being minus r comma 0, we can write therefore that the position vector of A, which is given by vector A, is equal to xi plus yj. What is the x coordinate? It is minus r. So this is minus ri plus, what is the y coordinate? Since A is a point on, oh, my bad, this is not negative y, this is negative x. Since A is a point on x-axis, the y coordinate is 0, which gives us y is equal to 0. And therefore, vector A is minus ri. Okay. Now coming to position vector of, sorry, my bad, this is position of B, right? Position of A and B. Okay. Now, how do we find the position of B? So position of B is along the x-axis, is along the plus x-axis, right? And therefore, any point along the x-axis will have a coordinate x comma 0. And since this is the center here, and the center here is origin, and the coordinate of B is r2 comma 0. Why? Because the length of the path is r, which is the radius of the circle. Therefore, r2 can safely be assumed as r, right? So we have OB measuring r. Therefore, the x coordinate here is r, which gives us the position vector of B, vector B, is xi plus yj. What is x? R, ri plus yj. Y is 0. Why? Because B is a point on the x coordinate, and on x coordinate, the y coordinate is on, and on x axis, the y coordinate is 0. So y is 0 here. So this is r2i, and it is safe to assume, well, if you want, you can just use r2 as well, which actually is equal to ri. Okay. So position of A is actually the initial position, and position of B is the final position, right? Now, since we have the initial and final position, right? Since we have the initial position as minus ri, and the final position as, wait, why is there a repetition here? Oh, okay, I just wanted to say that it is R2. Okay, that doesn't matter anyway. Right. So since we have this position, we have displacement is equal to final position minus initial position. To be more precise, the displacement vector would be final position vector minus the initial position vector. which is vector B minus vector A. What is vector B? R2 I cap minus what is vector A? This is very important here. It is minus R1 I cap, right? Minus R1 I cap. And since R2 and R1 are the same, this is R I cap minus R I cap. Minus times minus is plus, which gives us R plus R, that is 2R along I cap. So the displacement is actually 2R I cap. Now, what does this mean? 2R I cap means that if this is the initial position, then the magnitude of the displacement is 2R along what direction? Along the positive x axis. Okay. So, yes, and we also know that the distance traveled is AB, BA plus AB, which is 3 pi r. And can we do the same for distance traveled, the same method for distance traveled as well? Exactly, we can't do that. Why? Because distance traveled a a scalar quantity and therefore has no direction, and the only the factor being magnitude, which is 3 pi r. Unlike displacement, which has both magnitude and direction for both the final position and the initial position, and the calculation of displacement as well. Okay, so we solved it in three different ways, right? One was the direct approach. What was the second one? We calculated using the basic geometry of circles. And third one was using displacement. And for basic geometry, we found out distance, and using displacement, we found out, sorry, using the vector approach, we found out the displacement. Okay. So that actually marks the end of all the questions that are based from the topic distance displacement in the year 2025. So yes, there is a very potential, there's a very high potential that at least one question would be based on these in the upcoming 2026 JEE mains. Okay.